Hello and welcome back to my channel. So today I'm finally back in Minecraft Take 2 after God knows when the last video was. I can't remember. I mean, the last Power Wash Simulator video was about a month ago or so. So yeah, it's been quite a while. A lot of stuff been happening. It's kind of the reason why I wanted to do this as the next video, to be honest, because yeah, quite a bit to talk about. To be honest, I feel like it would be a bit therapeutic for myself as well. Got a list of things now. I'm just deciding for these videos now just to do a list because makes it easier to remember things. I literally just went through my calendar last night just of like everything that happened during the last month or so. So I believe in this video though, there's like a kind of like a hole that needs filling in. Not like that.
That's what she said.
Kind of like an underwater hole thing. There is also this that needs clearing off, so I might do this first just to get some more dirt. But yeah, I think it's just here. There's like a little underwater kind of tunnel, so yeah, I'll need to fill that in. So then the orchard can eventually go on this kind of area, and then I'll need to like landscape all this out as well. But yeah, so I'll do that. I'll just go to bed first. God, it is so warm at the moment. It's now officially summer, and I hate it a lot. Yeah, I have the fan on most of the time normally. I mean, it's not too bad at the moment, but yeah, I can still feel it a bit. So let's have a look. Yeah, so I'll dig up this stuff first, then go into the hole, then probably dig up some more stuff when I need some more dirt to fill in the hole. The good thing about this version is because it's peaceful as well, because I've noticed in the world that I have with the Joneses on like the Switch, I think it's on Bedrock version. With that one, whenever I'm going underwater, I forget that I can actually like run out of hearts a lot quicker as well, because with kind of like the food and stuff on this, on peaceful, the food doesn't go down, I don't think, so the hearts regenerate straight away, while in easy mode the hearts don't regenerate unless you've had some food. So yeah, I die quite a lot underwater, while in this one it's not as bad. So yeah, I'll get started on this and talk about whatever's first on my list. So I guess, how am I doing? It's been a rough month or so, I'm not gonna lie. You know, it's had some good moments, but I've noticed myself struggling a lot more. And yeah, I've been trying to like keep in the therapy CBT stuff, but yeah, it's been quite difficult too with things that keep triggering me and stuff, which isn't great. I felt like a lot of the time I've been trying to like get back onto it, and then like I fail at some point, and I have to slowly build myself back up. Then by the time I built myself back up, I've gone back down again. So yeah, it's kind of a big fight that I'm constantly having to do. Next thing I put, which actually I forgot to mention in the Power Wash Simulator video, is about Hyperia opening. I think I briefly mentioned it and said, oh, I need to talk about that, and then completely forgot to talk about it. But yeah, Hyperia opened and then closed shortly after. I mean, I understand it. Like, I think the thing is, it might have been better with like a soft opening, meaning that it wouldn't have been as pressured on that opening day, and you know, means that it might have worked a little bit better after that. It might have been a little bit more sustainable for its life cycle, I guess. But yeah, it's opened up. Don't get me wrong, I think the ride experience is probably going to be great. It looks really cool, and you know, some of the reactions I've seen for it have seemed great. But again, for me, it's about a whole package. You know, I feel like I would have to judge Hyperia separately. It's kind of like with Icon in a way at Blackpool Pleasure Beach. I kind of judge that separately. In regards to the ride experience, I think it's great because I love airtime in a coaster, and yeah, Icon's got some great airtime in that. But the problem, oh god, my shovel's already ran out. But yeah, the problem with Icon is that there's no, I mean, it's got a bit more theming, but like than Hyperia, but yeah, it's still not really got much theming. So Hyperia's kind of like in the same boat because it's got even less theming, but I think the ride experience would be great because it feels like kind of Big One and Icon mixed, because it's like a Mac seats and Mac restraints and kind of like a lot of points of airtime like what Icon has. Would have actually helped to have actually built the shovel, wouldn't it? But it's also kind of got like the height of the Big One in a way, so kind of got like that tallness to it, which is really awesome. Because I remember first time going on Big One, going over that first kind of drop on the front row, it was really great. Then the second ride was just hell. But yeah, so it's kind of gives me that kind of mix between those two, which means ride experience wise, I'd probably love it, and if it's really smooth, I'd love it as well. But yeah, my problem is very much with the lack of theming, lack of immersion, very basic storyline. It's just, like, it's not making me rush to it anytime soon. I think next time I go to Thorpe, I'll absolutely go on it, but yeah, it's not something that I'm exactly rushing to. The next thing is that Doctor Who Series 14, Series 1, whatever, Shootigatwa's first season, has finally ended, and there are a few episodes which I haven't really talked about on here. There was Rogue, which was kind of like the penultimate one to the two-part finale, which I enjoyed mostly. There were a few things like the villains in it, the Chulder, which are like these kind of like bird-like aliens, which I actually really like the makeup and stuff on. I believe actually a guy who used to work with in a group called the Shapeshifters, I believe he actually worked on the makeup for it and stuff. I think I saw him post briefly that yeah, he worked on the makeup for it. I don't know whether he actually applied it or not, because I didn't see him on Doctor Who Unleashed or anything, but yeah, he might have at least done the sculpts for it and stuff, so yes, that's great. But yeah, I think my problem with the Chulder was that they didn't really have like a very threatening motive in a way for what they were doing, and they were, you know, it was literally like they were cosplaying aliens, and they just like took it way too far in a way by like literally killing people and taking their form and cosplaying as them. I don't know, I just kind of wanted something a little bit more evil, I guess, something a little bit more malevolent, and, you know, a little bit more bigger stakes, I guess. I don't know, but yeah, overall the episode I enjoyed. I like the character of Rogue. There is this whole thing with like the romance between Rogue and the Doctor. I don't really like any romance between the Doctor and someone else. River Song just about gets away with it, but because they were literally married. But it's like, I'm not as much into it. Don't get me wrong, it's done well. It's just not something that I'm that into, really. As a Doctor Who fan, I feel like a lot of other fans agree with that. So, yeah, that was a bit meh. But I like Jonathan Groff's performance. I liked the character of Rogue. I'd love to see Rogue back. It feels like a bit more of like a toned-down Captain Jack in a way. Which, yeah, it was. Which everyone was saying he was going to be Captain Jack, and he definitely wasn't. But yeah, I enjoyed that. Enjoyed Shootigatwa and Millie Gibson's performance again, as usual, most of the time. By the way, I'm recording this in the morning as well, so yeah, definitely a bit tired, so probably a bit slower and depressed. Also a reference to the Schalke Doctor, so if people don't know who that was, there was a... Oh, there's a Traitor. Hello. Traitor! Traitor! I mean, they never usually have anything good, but let's just see. Yep. Nothing really. Ooh, fire coral block. That looks nice. But I don't really care. Bye-bye. I'm not going to attack them because the llama literally spit at you if you attack them, and it burns. It burns! They had a reference to the Schalke Doctor, which is, there was, I think it was like for the 40th anniversary of Doctor Who or around that time, they did kind of like a flash animated series online called Scream of the Schalke, which had a... kind of like a non-canon Doctor. Well, now apparently he is canon, but basically a version of the Doctor played by Richard E. Grant, and so he's known as the Schalke Doctor. And yeah, they had this bit where Rogue is kind of scanning the Doctor and seeing all his previous faces, and one of them is Richard E. Grant, suggesting that it's the Schalke Doctor, which it's cool. It's a little bit of fan wank, which if people don't know what fan wank is, like fan service, but I just call it fan wank because it's a funny name. But yeah, it was fine. It was fan wank, but I'm not really that bothered about it, to be honest. It's like it just kind of complicates things a little bit more as to where he fits in. So yeah, and it wasn't really like a very substantive bit of fan wank, I guess. We should have like a counter for how many times I say fan wank this video, because there might actually be some other things that where I mention it, to be honest, with some of the other topics. But yeah, it was a fine episode. Wasn't really... Didn't have too many big complaints or issues about it, apart from the whole relationship thing between Rogue and the Doctor. Again, executed well. It's just not something that I want, really. Then the next episode was The Legend of Ruby Sunday, which was the kind of first part of the finale, which I really enjoyed. Really liked it. trying to actually remember some of it now. You can tell it was very memorable. Yeah, it was, going back to unit and stuff. There was the whole mystery about, who's Ruby's mother? And it was a lot of setup, but it was really good setup, and especially right at the end. I mean, I would say spoilers, but like, it's been out for a month now. But the build up to Sutek at the end, who people don't know, Sutek, massive villain from the classic era, from a Tom Baker Fourth Doctor story called Pyramids of Mars. Really good story, and really good villain, but only used once. But he's essentially like a big godlike being in a way. I mean, they're saying about like this pantheon of gods that they've got, but I don't really think they are gods, because people were saying about the whole thing of like, well, Sutek technically isn't a god, he's an alien called an Osiren, but I think they call themselves gods, but they're not actually gods. They're kind of like embodiments in a way. So like Sutek, they call the god of death. I think it's more like he's the embodiment of death, just like how the toy maker is the embodiment of toys, Maestro is the embodiment of music, the Mara, which is another classic villain, the embodiment of beasts, the Trickster, who they do give a mention, the embodiment of traps. So I think instead of gods, it's embodiments, but I feel like they call them gods just out of simplicity, which I'm fine with, to be honest. But just that build up at the end for Sutek was just so good. Genuinely, whenever I watch it, just gives me like a little chill up my spine. It's just brilliant. Brilliant bit of build up, and just like a fun story overall, really. Just again, a lot of build up, but very good build up, and really like satisfying build up. I also don't really want to spend too long kind of like lingering on the Doctor Who stuff, because it's kind of like I've got a lot of stuff on my list and a lot of stuff that I really need to talk through. But next thing on it is, kind of linked in with the finale episode, was I went to London for the weekend. Sort of the weekend. It was like from the... Oh, no, yeah, it was the weekend. Yeah, it was the Saturday I went up. I completely forgot. But, I went up to London because my friend Marley had a extra ticket for a cinema showing of the finale of Doctor Who, Empire of Death. I went along, and in the morning I went to Madame Tussauds in London. Just thought I might as well do a Merlin attraction while I'm down that way, it was nice to like get back into the Chamber of Horrors and take a little bit more time through it. And they've added like a few new like little animatronic elements as well, which is really cool. That was awesome to get back in there. Seen some like little teasers for the Doctor Who section, which is now opened, with a shooting out one next to his TARDIS, which it looks like a really amazing mannequin. I definitely need to go back there at some point to go and see it. It was nice to spend the weekend with Marley. Was helping them with the Sutek costume that they had. So the original Sutek from Pyramids of Mars. They had a kind of they had a helmet that they cast out for it, and they need help making the costume, so I helped out with that. And then we actually went to the cinema, me in a kind of like servant of Sutek costume, and Marley in their Sutek costume, and got quite a good reception at the cinema, at the View, which was really cool. A few people taking photos. I saw a few people on Twitter who actually posted pictures, which was really cool, and it was a really cool experience. Really good costumes, really well done, especially since it was only maybe like a week or so, or maybe like a few days, which they had to do it. But it's a really great costume, really looked awesome. And then we actually went to go and see the episode Empire of Death, and were extremely disappointed. I think everyone kind of came out of Empire of Death feeling deflated. I mean, at least we got to see Legend of Ruby Sunday on the big screen, which was cool. And it made me also notice a few more little details in Legend of Ruby Sunday, which is cool. But Empire of Death, I still haven't rewatched it. I really need to, but I just haven't had the motivation to, because it's just incredibly disappointing. I think the biggest problem is it just doesn't... It's not a good payoff, and it doesn't use Sutek well, if at all. I think also we all had kind of like a hope that we get Sutek more in his original form, like in his more kind of like humanoid form, like the form that Marley had for the costume. Instead, we got this kind of like godlike jackal creature, which is explained by the fact that Sutek's now got more power, which I get that, and because he's been on the back of the TARDIS this whole time, which is just stupid. It's just Sutek's underused, and it's, yeah, just not a very good payoff, really. I feel like you kind of maybe needed this to be a 3-parter, where you kind of have, like, the first part being Legend of Ruby Sunday, where it sets up Sutek. The second part being kind of, like, all the damage and destruction of Sutek, you know, like, have, like, a whole episode where everyone's being killed and the whole universe is being destroyed, and then you have a part 3 where they're actually building up to defeat Sutek in a way. So yeah, like, it wasn't great. It was not a great story. But again, you know, Legend of Ruby Sunday, still really enjoy. It's just, yeah, Empire of Death, no, not good at all. And also the fact that Sutek is literally beaten by putting a leash around his neck and treating him like a dog, like this godlike being, just takes, like, all the seriousness out of it. And I know some people say, like, oh, you know, it's the fun blue box show and you shouldn't take it that seriously. I do. I take it somewhat seriously, like, you know, because otherwise what's the point in being a fan if you don't take it somewhat seriously? So, yeah, it was just disappointing. And also, like, with the answers to, like, who Ruby's mom was, like, that was, like, the fact that she named Ruby after the signpost that said Ruby Road, and I just found it so funny in the final scene. Don't get me wrong, like, a scene that was I think acted very great, but the problem is I was either so tired because it was, like, past midnight, or just I was just so kind of demoralized by how shit the episode was. I didn't really get into the emotion of that final scene as much, but I just found it funny when, like, she sees her mum and she's just really emotional. She goes, I was named after a road. And it's such a silly line, but yet delivered with such like emotional gravitas. It's just like, piss off. But yeah, it wasn't a great finale. And I know a lot of people have been pointing out that, oh, all Russell T Davies finales have been like this, and I kind of get that, like with Last of the Time Lords in Series 3, I kind of get it with that and stuff, and probably if I rewatch some of them I'd get that, but I think some people have also been saying that kind of this is the worst example of it. But yeah, so that was the disappointment of the Legend of Ruby Sunday. Then on the Sunday, yeah, kind of just like chilled out in the morning for a bit, and then headed off and got incredibly depressed on the way back. Yeah, it was essentially kind of triggered by, I've got a kind of different problem in the background, which I won't exactly go into. It's even something which I've only briefly brought up with my therapist, let alone anyone else. Yeah, it's something which it's kind of ironic, right? I'm fine to talk about, like, all, like, the dark and terrible stuff going on in my mind, and yeah, there's one thing in particular that I just, like, don't feel comfortable talking to anyone about. But it's a problem that I have that you know, almost kind of like an addiction in a way, which yeah, I'm trying to kind of actively fight against at the moment, like trying to actively put things into place to try and stop it and try and reduce it. It's sort of working, but yeah, it kind of affected me at that point on the way back home from London, and yeah, made me feel really annoyed at myself, because it's like it was a massive lack of self-control, and almost made me miss my train back as well. I literally only got it just on time, and yeah, just and also made me waste a bit of money, and it was just like, yeah, yeah, it's something which I need to kind of work through, hopefully in therapy at one point. I think the problem is as well is, like, I think I've mentioned possibly in previous videos that with therapy, it's kind of like I need a specific therapy for specific problems. So like with like my body image issues, for example, I've been told that that's a form of CBT, but my issue with relationships, both platonic and romantic, that's more counselling. So it's kind of like, for each kind of issue, I kind of need to do a different therapy for each. Some of it might be able to overlap, but I think to actually fully focus on them, I'd need to get a different therapy, which means waiting for that therapy each time and getting through the first therapy initially and then moving on to the next one, but then that has a waiting list and stuff. So yeah, it's a really long process, and I think the problem's going to be when my next therapy comes around is trying to figure out what I should focus on first, because if I focus on one thing, the other two are still going to be just as bad, because there's kind of three main areas that I kind of really feel like I need to focus on, which is relationships, both platonic and romantic, mainly friendships, to be honest, because relationships don't really exist in my life, romantic ones. The second one being body image issues, third one being this other issue which I'm not as comfortable talking about. So yeah, it's just going to be trying to work through that. But anyway, yeah, so that made me feel awful when I got back to crew. And yeah, it's kind of been like things like this where it's just like, yeah, it kind of makes me dip back down, then I have to try and build myself up, then by the time I built myself back up, something else happens, and it's just like, yeah, it's annoying and it's frustrating, but I'm still trying, I guess. I briefly met up with Aaron, so my Scare Seekers co-host. Yeah, it was nice to meet up with him. He's going to Sweden, I believe, to Liseberg. Went to go and do Hotel Gaston again. God, so jealous. I'd love to do that maze someday. But yeah, I briefly met him because he was passing through Crum on in the morning before he was going to get his train up to, I think it was Manchester Airport. I remember there was some problem with the planes on the way up as well, so it was like, a bit nerve-wracking at that point for him, but yeah, I think he managed to get there in the end, which was good. But yeah, it was nice to meet him. Got a Starbucks near Crew Station, which was really nice. I haven't been in that one before as well. It's surprisingly big as well, like surprisingly bigger than I expected. So yeah, that was cool. Got a nice white hot chocolate and had a ham and cheese croissant, which was yeah, really surprisingly nice. I think I'll definitely have to get that again if I go to Starbucks, because God, that was a lovely bit of breakfast, that. And yeah, I think also that weekend I had kind of like a cheat weekend in a way. I can't remember, was it? Yeah, I think it was that weekend I had like, well, it was meant to be like a cheat day, but essentially for some of my cheat days now, I've been doing almost like a takeaway. I've been doing like a fake away, where basically I get some stuff like cheap from Aldi, because yeah, they do stuff really cheap there, and then bring that back home and cook it. But the thing is, the problem with that is it kind of gives me less control in a way, because it's kind of like there's less of a limit on what I can, like, you know, if I order something from like McDonald's, for example, there's only so many things on the menu that that I'll order. While if I go to Aldi and like get a load of stuff, there's, I'm probably going to overdo it at that point, which I did that weekend. And then I remember, I think I got these for like pudding, I got these like almost like these Homer Simpson donuts, kind of like the pink sprinkled ones. And I remember I hadn't finished everything on the Friday, so I still had some onto the Saturday, so that's why it's kind of more like a cheap weekend in a way. And I just remember eating one of those pink sprinkled donuts and just like crying, because I was just like feeling so shit about myself, and hating the way I looked and my body image, and yeah, that just really affected me badly. So yeah, so that wasn't fun. That was yeah, and again, that was kind of something which affected me for like a few days going into that week. I remember at the end of that week, which might be the next thing on my list. Oh no, the next thing on my list was something else. But at the end of that week, I was going to be going to well, I was going to have a quite big weekend, but it was going to start off with going to Chester to go to see Chloe. In the Dead Good Ghost Tours, which she's part of, which was really cool. I'll talk a bit about that later, kind of like do a review. Like, I don't really know how professional it'll be, but yeah, a sort of review. Oh, come on. Let me... Oh, it's shift. I thought it was control to duck down. God damn it. But yeah, so I went to go and see... Chloe. Well, I was going to go and see Chloe that weekend, and I did eventually, but it was kind of like at the start of that week going, am I going to feel good enough, am I not, like, and just hoping that the kind of depression would just go away, which I think it did a little bit, but then came back later in the week, which I'll discuss in a moment. But yeah, the other thing that I was going to talk about, which happened just before the ghost tour, was that I've been having nightmares. Yay. Which, yeah, that hasn't been fun. I've been having kind of like more vivid dreams and nightmares where I kind of like remember them, which I usually don't. I usually don't remember like any dreams and stuff that I have. But yeah, I think it was like on the Friday, on like the Thursday night to Friday morning, and the Friday was when I went up to go to the ghost tour. Yeah, I had a very, very disturbing nightmare about someone dying in a very graphic and brutal way, which was not nice. It was, yeah, very, very disturbing. So that wasn't fun, and it meant that I didn't really get much sleep that night, which was unfortunate. I like how that's kind of like an understatement. Like, yeah, it was a bit more than unfortunate. It was yeah, it was quite disturbing and upsetting. So that wasn't nice. I believe it was actually that I had 3 nightmares that night. I think it might have been, or there was one time where I had like 3 nightmares in a row. So yeah, so that was very distressing. But then so I was really tired then on the Friday, and I think I was up at like 5 o'clock that morning, and was like up late on the Friday night as well. Yeah, so then I went up to Chester kind of like in the afternoon, evening time to meet up with Chloe briefly before the ghost tour, which was lovely to do. I don't really know whether I should explain because I mention her so often on the channel, but yeah, Chloe, who normally acts in Altonville Mine Tours, was in Tiny's Revenge last year as well. Very brilliant actress. I think she's really awesome, very talented. So I went to finally go see her in this ghost tour, and she was up for meeting up beforehand, which was really nice. And yeah, we literally went to go. I remember also it was the Chester races that day as well, so yeah, really busy in Chester. So yeah, I kind of feel sorry for her because she was a little bit late, but it's like I can't blame her. Like the traffic must have been awful getting up there. But yeah, then we met up, went to have a Starbucks, and we just went to Starbucks and just like chatted for about like an hour. And it was just lovely, genuinely really nice to talk with her. She's really nice, really calm, really chill. And yeah, just I'm really just like thankful that she kind of like gave up her time in a way for that. Like for me, like it was really nice and kind, genuinely meant a lot. So thank you, Chloe, for that. It was it was genuinely after a rough couple of weeks before that, it was one of the highlights that I've had for a while. It was kind of the happiest I've felt for a while. So yeah, it's kind of just almost like kind of small things like that kind of really do help at times. Then after that, she needed to go and get ready, so then I waited in there's like a pub, I think it's the Pied Bull, which you meant to wait outside for the ghost tour, so I waited in there for a bit, just listened to some music on my phone, and yeah, then just before the ghost tour, went to go and stand outside, waited for a bit. And then it began, so there was this woman who came out in like a hooded robe, so started with the theatrics straight away, and she got all her tickets and stuff, and then she told me to put out my hand, and so I did, and then she put this like mark on my finger. The thing is, I was wearing these fingerless gloves, and so she couldn't really like get a mark on my hand, so she put it kind of like on my middle finger there, and then we were kind of guided into this alleyway where I could see Chloe and a co-actor over at the end of this alleyway, just kind of like leaning against the walls, and the characters were called Dig and Doug, so I think Chloe played Doug. Yeah, it was just really cool to get interactions from them to begin with. And I remember they were going through the group like getting everyone's names and stuff, but then they kept looking at our hands, and literally like she took my gloves off at one point to try and look at my hands. Essentially they were trying to look for who had the mark, but because I was wearing the fingerless gloves, the first woman couldn't really get like a big mark on with the pen and stuff, and so yes, they were really struggling to find it. I was trying to like show them without showing them in a way, like just trying to like beckon my finger out to go, yeah, the mark's there, but without it making it look like I was kind of like a stooge or anything. They eventually found it, and then they kept asking me like, was there anything weird about this woman or like the pen that she had, and I kind of remembered every other detail, like it was a red pen, she was in a hood, she had red hair. And then Chloe was like, oh, did the pen have a feather on it by any chance? And I was like, yes, it did. And it was like the one thing I completely forgot. But yeah, so that was funny. And yeah, just the performances of Dig and Doug throughout were great. And I think considering that Chloe, I think she wanted to play the ghost role a bit more, which was the role of the other woman that she was the ghost, that would appear at different points during the tour. And I think Chloe normally kind of prefers that role. But I think just because she has to learn like 2 hours of script, which... yeah, the fact that she was able to do all that and do it so seamlessly, and the actor that played Dig as well, like, was just great and amazing. Like, I think there were a couple of times where I noticed a little bit of a stumble, but I mean, she got back onto it straight away, which was brilliant. So yeah, and I can't blame her if she forgot her lines at all, because yeah, I wouldn't remember that many lines. So So yeah, so it's a good on them both for that. But yeah, we went around like the Chester walls and stuff. Loads of bits in Chester. To be honest, I forgot kind of like a lot of the facts and stuff because I was more just kind of enthralled in the performance in a way. So, oh no, don't kill me. Oh, apparently it's not going to kill me. Good. Okay, hold on. It's probably going to destroy my armor, but oh well, there we go. But yeah, so I don't really remember like a lot of the specific facts and stuff, but just because yeah, I was just too entertained by the performance, and I think that's kind of what I focused on more, because in a way that's what I was there for more, really, not necessarily the history. I was more there for the entertaining performance that they both had. And it was funny as well because we did it while it was a bit too light as well, and so they kept mentioning like throughout, like, oh, wouldn't this be better if it was a bit darker? And yeah, so that was quite funny. And yeah, because it was kind of a bit of a commentary on what I think we were all thinking. But even then, they still managed to get some pretty good jump scares as well with the ghost at times as well, or even just with Dig and Doug. Like I remember there was one part where near the start where they get you to close your eyes, and they do kind of a bit of scare acting in a way where they kind of get like really up close to you and stuff. Obviously Chloe targeted me a bit on that, and then I think Dig has like a horn or something which he uses, which was a good jump scare. So yeah, but as I say, some points with the ghost as well, which just like appeared from behind for you know completely out of nowhere, was brilliant. So yeah, so I was enjoying it for the most part to that point. I think one criticism, and I think it's something that's very much kind of a me issue rather than an issue that most people would have, is that I feel like some of the humour in it, don't get me wrong, there's a load of really funny moments, but I think some of the humour relies a bit too much on like crude humour and stuff, and kind of like sex jokes and things. Again, I feel that's just more of a problem with me. It's like when I did the dungeon lates, my only ever dungeon lates that I've done at the Orc dungeon, and instead I kind of hoped that it was going to be more adult because it's scarier rather than more adult because it's got a lot of swearing or a lot of sex jokes and stuff. I'm just kind of like, I don't know, I think it's just not really my humour, and I think with a lot of the sex jokes as well, it kind of makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable. This is not to blame Chloe or any of the other actors for that or anything. That's just in the script. But yeah, it's just, I think it's just something that's not for me as much, and I feel like I kind of prefer the humour where it's like puns, or like they had the one bit where it's like they made a load of puns about a severed head, which was funny. But yeah, I think just like for me, just some of the other kind of like sex jokes and kind of more crude jokes, you know, it's kind of like low blows in a way. Like, I don't know, like, yeah, it's just, I guess that's just not for me. I was enjoying it for the most part, but then obviously the depression had to come back in. I think it was a point where we were like looking at some like the shop fronts and stuff and getting like the history of them, and yeah, I don't know what happened, honestly. Most of the time I forget what actually triggers the depression. Yeah, it was probably something stupid like probably just literally like seeing a little something, hearing a little something, can't remember. But yeah, I managed to get depressed, but the problem is then I started masking quite a bit. So if you don't know what masking is, I think it's normally used for a lot of people who have autism as well, where they mask, where essentially you kind of hide how you're feeling. I feel like for me it's very much hiding the depression and putting a smile on my face and just trying to like move on while I'm like on the verge of tears, usually a lot of the time. But the problem is it's kind of like bottling it up, so yeah, that's not healthy or helpful at all. So yes, so that happened, as I say, kind of like in the second half of the Ghost Tour. Again, none of the Ghost Tour's fault. I think I've like said this like about some of the like the Towers Times events and stuff, and it's probably the same thing that's happened where I started masking. Like, again, it's none of their faults. It's a mental illness that I have and I hate. But yeah, so, you know, I tried to still enjoy the rest of it. You know, and as I say, Chloe and the guy who played Dig did a great job still throughout it. There was one point as well though where they got these water pistols out and they kept like shooting us with like water, like it's almost like holy water and stuff, and there was one point where Chloe got me right in that eye, and I said to her afterwards, like, yeah, you're a good shot because you got me right in that eye. And yeah, it's the point where I was having to like kind of like blink it out to stop it from being irritated. But yeah, but in all seriousness, they did a really great job. And again, considering that it was quite light as well, I still think they did an amazing job, and the fact that I know Chloe was quite worried beforehand with the script and stuff, I think she absolutely smashed it out of the park. And the same with the actor who played Dig, and I believe for the Ghost it was her first time performing as well. I believe that normally she's the one who kind of helps the Ghost into the costume and stuff, so her first time doing that, it didn't feel like it was her first time. It felt like she'd been doing it for ages, so yeah, well done to her as well. And yeah, I'd highly recommend it. I think I might go back either like September, October time, depending about any time in October, and yeah, go and see her again, hopefully in the Ghost role, and yeah, try and see it when it's a bit darker. And I believe as well they're managing to get the permission to go into a building as well for the end of it, which means they can hopefully do a bit more kind of like scare acting stuff, which would be brilliant. So yeah, I'll be looking forward to that if they manage to get that. But yeah, I definitely recommend the Dead Good Ghost tour. Yeah, it's in Chester every Friday, I think. They, on their kind of social media pages, they constantly update when the new shows are going to be. But yeah, I'd highly recommend it. Definitely worth the money. I think it's like 30 quid, but I managed to get a bit of a discount because I think I must have been on their like mailing list and stuff where they had like a code for it, so I actually got £5 off, which was pretty good. We ended the Ghost tour at I think it's the Brewer's Tap or something like that. It's another pub. We got like a photo outside, which was really cool. Then I actually got a few photos with Chloe in the pub, which was yeah, which was really nice. And with the guy who played Dig. And then once they were ready, we all walked back because I was gonna meet up with Andy from Coasting with the Joneses. He was gonna pick me up, and so I thought might as well pick me up kind of near where the tour started, because it's near the Story House in Chester, and that's kind of like a good landmark. So I thought, probably the best place. And also meant that I could walk back with Chloe and have a bit more of a conversation on the way back. But yeah, at this point I was just completely masking, and yeah, feeling absolutely awful. Again, none of their faults. I always have to keep clarifying this, but yeah, it's difficult and it's tough. But yeah, I just want to say again, thanks to Chloe for inviting me. Thanks for putting on a great performance, and massive thanks for meeting up with me beforehand. As I say, it was really lovely, really kind of you for giving up your time like that, and yeah, just being really nice, so thanks for that. Yeah, so then I got picked up by Andy, and we went back up to the Joneses household, got to meet their cats. It's Atari, Indian Nemi, so adorable. I know Atari, I must have like a thing for black cats, like black cats must like me, because Atari was just like sitting on me a lot, which was just so cute. And yeah, it was really nice to spend some time with them. We watched, I think when Darcy had gone to bed, we'd watched the Thorpe Park episode of The In-Betweeners, which was it's quite funny at times. There was one bit where they went on to Nemesis Inferno, and it's like, oh, you could not get away with that humour nowadays. But yeah, it was funny, and yeah, it was just nice to spend some time with them. But I think the problem again was I was masking through a lot of that, and yeah, so sometimes with masking, it's like it's hard to know whether I'm actually having a good time or whether I'm not, or whether I'm just kind of forcing myself to. But in reality, I'm actually not doing great. So yeah, it's kind of sometimes hard to tell the difference, which is a bit annoying. So we were up a bit late that night. Also got to see Darcy's room as well, see a little theme park collection and stuff, which was really awesome. And yeah, but as I say, kind of masking again that whole time. That kind of happened overnight. I kind of was kept up by the masking in a weird way, so I didn't really sleep much that night either. So kind of the night before being kept up by nightmares, then that night kind of being kept up by, I think it might have just been feeling like really self-conscious as well, about the masking and stuff, and so that kind of kept me up, like kind of a lot of anxiety, but also just being really upset as well. And yeah, so that wasn't great. And then the reason why I was at the Joneses was because the next day we went to the Love to Explore Social 3, I believe. I haven't been to the first two, where I got this pin badge. Just hopefully you can see that. Hopefully you can see it better than I showed in the video, because yeah, I think the sun must have been on it or something. But what I also forgot to show us as well, when we got there, obviously met up with Mike and Stace, because they were the ones running the event. But then Stace came up to me and she gave me this, which is a little Phoebe pin, which is just so cute, genuinely. just thanks so much, Stacey. And she got this from Punny Dukes, which when I went up, I think I mentioned them in a video before, but I think I actually called them Punky Dukes in that one, so sorry for the for saying the name wrong that time. But yeah, it's a really cool store where there's like a load of like, you know, kind of like fandom stuff, but also one of the people who runs it, I think it's Katie Abbey, I think she does some like really cool artwork and stuff of these like motivational kind of like postcards and stuff with cute like cartoon characters on them and stuff. But yeah, but they do also pin badges and stuff, and so yes, the State's got that pin badge from them. I think it actually says the name of the make of the pin badges on the back. If I don't die underwater, it says, is it Glitterpunk? I think it's Glitterpunk. So yeah, this is from Glitterpunk at Punny Dukes. I'm sure they kind of buy them from Glitterpunk, and then I don't know, but yeah, at Punny Dukes, really good store. If you're ever in Matlock, go and check them out. But yeah, it was just really lovely to get that from her, and genuinely I think one of my favourite pins now that I've got. Again, it's kind of sometimes like the meaning and the sentimental value from them, and yeah, it looks exactly like Phoebe, so it's just so cute. And then at the Love to Explore social at Gulliver's World, again, as I said, I was kind of masking for a lot of the day, pretty much the majority of the day. I'm sure there were moments like in between where I was enjoying myself, and definitely being with the Joneses helped a lot. Like yeah, it was really nice just to talk and chat with them throughout the day, which was great. You know, kind of just have those people that I knew and, you know, I was comfortable talking to. But also, you know, got to kind of get to know some other people. There was a Coaster Dad there I got to chat to briefly as well. He was really nice. Got to briefly talk to Ben and Holly again through some bits throughout the day, which was nice. Also, Joe from Theme Park Insanity, I remember we were about to get on the Antelope, and he said hi, and we had a little chat, which was nice. Yeah, I remember when I first met him was actually at it wasn't my first ever Scare Amazing, it was my second Scare Amazing, where I first met Luke from Coaster Gen, and Joe was with him in that group. But it's so funny because in that one I was in the Human Experiment costume, so the first time Joe and Luke met me, I was just in full costume, which was great. So yeah, it was nice to see him again. It was also nice to meet the rest of Theme Park Insanity as well, because I haven't really met them, but I think I've kind of maybe like seen them at other events and stuff. But yeah, it was really nice to meet them, and I just wanted to also give a quick little shout out as well, because recently I've been kind of like trying to reach out to new people and stuff, and like talk to new people on message, just to try, and it was kind of one of my goals on my CBT to try and like reach out to new people and try and like expand my social circle and be a bit more comfortable with reaching out and not expecting people to necessarily reach out to me straight away, like try and be the first one to initiate the conversation. And with one person I wanted to give a bit of a shout out for that is Elise from Theme Park Insanity. I think her kind of username's Sophisticoasters, which is so funny because before I properly knew who she was, I always thought her name was Sophie, so it was like Sophie Stakosters, but no, her name's Elise, and yeah, she was really nice to briefly talk to on the day, but ever since we've been messaging a bit, and yeah, she's just been really nice, really kind over message. She's also into like doing costumes and stuff, so we've been talking about that, which has been lovely. But when I was editing the last video which I did, which was the Scarefest speculation video, I was up quite late and way past my bedtime, and yeah, she just kind of kept me company while I was doing that, which was really lovely, really nice. It's just nice to really have nice, kind conversations with people like that. You know, it's like when I went to the Twisted Vengeance event and met up with Laura W, who I'd talked to briefly on Twitter and stuff. It's just nice to have those kind of interactions, and you know, have people who are just kind of just willing to talk. You know, it's just sometimes it's just as simple as that. But I think also it's just sometimes having like new people to talk to as well, and people who I kind of really get along with as well. Like yeah, it's really nice to have that. You know, Chloe's another example of that. Stacey, of course. Joe, obviously from Scare Seekers. Yeah, it's just really nice to have that at times. So yeah, just thanks Elise for that, and thanks for anyone else who talks to me. I know I've been talking to like Nikki from Lush Velvet Coasters as well. She's been lovely. Her friend Tay as well. Can't remember the username. I think it has something to do with Dr. Whittaker in it. I'm not sure. But yeah, they've been lovely as well. So yeah, it's just been really nice to have those interactions. But Yeah, also on the day, I talked to Stakesy a bit more and actually got... hold on, I'll just stop here. Yeah, I also finally got a pin from Stakesy, because I believe I briefly saw him at Oktoberfest last year, and he was giving out pins, but I think I was just too socially anxious to actually ask for a pin, because I didn't really know who he was at the time. But yeah, it was really nice just to briefly talk to him. I think it was when we were filming some stuff off Antelope, and yeah, he's a really nice guy. I think I've been on one of the Love to Explore streams with him as well, where we watched Nightmare Before Christmas. Yes, so that was nice. But yeah, to get back to Gulliver's, honestly, like, because the thing I said in the video was that it was, I believe, the first ever theme park that I went to, and really the only thing I remember was going on the pterodactyl ride, which I didn't actually go on this time because I was just feeling so awful and so tired at that point. But yeah, so the pterodactyl and the kind of like the haunted mansion thing, and even only the outside of that, they're really the only things I actually remember from when I first went. I think we went like a couple of times. I think we went once just with my family, and then we went another time with my family and like some other relatives as well. So there's not really too much that I remember, but yeah, I think that pterodactyl ride may have been the first one that I went onto. It's maybe kind of like the dinosaur area that I remember. Like there's the hatchery ride, which I kind of have vivid memories of. Well, not vivid, I guess, because vivid's kind of like sort of memories of, but yeah, it's very hard to remember a lot of stuff there. But yeah, it was cool to go back and experience some new rides and stuff. Antelope, definitely not the comfiest of coasters, not gonna lie. And then we went on like the one that I called the Spinny. I can't remember the name of it now, but yeah, the Spinny ride, that was fine. And there was the Wiggler as well, and there was the Gyrosphere. I think it's called Gears Overdrive. Not the gyrosphere. That's from Jurassic World. No, the gyro swing. Which the worst thing about that was that it kind of it's a short cycle and it's slow. But the thing is, because it's slow, when it kind of like goes over, it kind of hangs you there, and it's not a great feeling, but it's also kind of cool as well at the same time. So so I think that's kind of the advantage that has. Then we went on one of the water rides as well. Well, we went on Apache Falls for starters, which I went on my own, and surprisingly didn't get too wet. I mean, yeah, I was wearing a poncho, but I expected at least like to get a little bit more wet in some areas where it might have gone through the poncho, but no, there wasn't really too many bits where it splashed me, to be honest. And I think it was also the fact that apparently it went up through the seat as well, so I was kind of making a joke about like it being a bidet or something like that. But yeah, so that was fun. I mean, it was nice. It had some like good spins on it and stuff, but yeah, let's say this, it didn't really get me as wet as Valhalla, which I was told it was apparently even worse than Valhalla for how much it drenches you. Then we went on kind of like a river water ride, which I don't think I filmed any of, because I think at that point I was just like not feeling great. Yeah, because I kind of stopped filming any vlogging segments at that point, didn't I? There was like this water ride bit where it's kind of almost like a slow river rapids ride, only without the rapids obviously, but kind of like in a smaller rapids boat. And but in the station there were these murder monkeys. So there were these monkeys which were literally, they had these terrifying faces. I think they must have used to have been animatronics, because they look like kind of animatronic monkeys. But yeah, they just look creepy. and like one of them, I think Andy noticed that one of them had like a black leather glove on, and so I was just saying that was kind of like their murder glove or something. So yeah, so that kind of proves the point as well. Like in a way, in those moments where I'm kind of masking and stuff, I can still joke a bit. It's just, yeah, again, it's that kind of thing of not necessarily knowing whether I'm actually happy or whether I'm just forcing myself to be during the masking. It's very difficult to know that. But yeah, I think after kind of when we got into the dinosaur area, I was just completely masking. There's one bit, I rewatched the Love to Explore vlog from the day, and there's one bit where kind of Mike pans past towards this dinosaur, and you just look at my face on it, and I'm just like, I'm just feeling dead on it, because yeah, it's I was feeling rough at that point. But it's kind of hard to like tell people as well, because I feel like one thing that I've realized recently by talking to people and trying to reach out is no one really knows how to help, like, and I don't blame anyone for that. I think it's a very difficult position to be in. Like, you know, nobody really knows how to help me. I don't really know how to help myself. I really need therapy and stuff, so yeah. So by the end of the Love to explore social. Yeah, I was just feeling absolutely drained. You know, I was really tired from some bad sleep from the previous couple of nights, and yeah, just clearly wasn't feeling good. Really wasn't in a good mood. Yeah, let's just say that on the train back, I really had to kind of control myself and keep myself safe. I'll let you dig into what that means, but yeah, but yeah. So for the next few days, I was just, and kind of the next week onwards, it was just really difficult and rough. I couldn't stop crying a lot of the time just because of how shit I was feeling. Again, trying to reach out to people, but again, them not really been able to do much. You know, they tried their best, and you know, I thank them all for that. But yeah, it's difficult and it's rough, and yeah, it's not really something I can really do much about apart from just try and get back onto my CBT, you know. And even I think a problem with the CBT is that I think I might have mentioned in the past that it deals with the symptoms, but it doesn't deal with the actual causes. Is one of the problems, and so it's like kind of like the analogy I have is kind of like if you have like a tumor or something, for an example, and you know you use some like painkillers to get rid of the pain, like that deals with one of the symptoms, but it doesn't actually deal with the cause of the tumor. You know, to deal with the cause of the tumor, you have to like get the tumor removed, or you know, if it's kind of like a cancerous tumor, you use like chemotherapy or something like that. You know, I need something that actually deals with the causes, not just the symptoms, because otherwise if you're dealing with the symptoms, you're going to have to keep dealing with the symptoms, while if you deal with the cause, then you might actually be able to finally deal with it, get it out of the way. And I know that obviously therapy can't, like, you know, cure everything, you know, it can't solve every problem you have in your life, but you know, I feel like maybe something like counselling might be able to help, you know, maybe work through some stuff, which kind of brings me on to the fact that things were getting so bad at one point that I actually got back in touch with IAPT. I ended my consolidation period early, so if you didn't know what that was, it's basically after my last therapy, I get a consolidation period, which is basically 3 months of me trying to put in the things I've learned from CBT before looking for a new therapy. But I was told that, you know, if things get really bad, or you know, if things get things get a lot worse, then yeah, I can get back in touch with IAPT and, you know, refer myself again for new therapy early. And so it was just over 2 months, I think, and yeah, I had to re-refer myself because I just really wasn't doing great. You know, it's been up and down a lot, but it's been getting to points where like I've been just really not doing good. And so yeah, so I referred myself again. It was actually a better referral process as well this time, because it was instead of having to go through my GP, I went through the IAPT website, and just being able to like go through like a chat bot in a way and just go through all the questions and stuff, talk about all my problems and everything. And yeah, that was actually a much better way to do it. It was you know, it was still kind of a bit upsetting to kind of bring up some of it, but it was it was certainly a lot less stressful. Unfortunately, I'm gonna have to have a phone call still with IAP to, you know, go over what I need and stuff, which I booked for just after the Drayton Manor event, which I'll be going to, just simply because I like to give myself a few weeks just to kind of amp myself up to it. But also, it's kind of then after that event, which means then I can get that out of the way, have a call with IAPT. I believe it's on the Tuesday, and I believe the event's on the Sunday. So, yeah, that should give me the Monday to recover, Tuesday to, you know, have a very stressful call. I made sure it was in the afternoon as well, so I'm actually awake and I'm actually up and I'm actually, you know, ready to have a call. But yeah, you know, hopefully it shouldn't be too stressful. It's just, for some reason with calls, I just get really stressed and stuff. One of the issues that I've been noticing is, I mean, for starters, there's always the issue of like the attachment issues. So not that I struggle to form attachments, it's kind of the exact opposite, that I get attached way too easily to people. It's like, I think I've mentioned in the past, like I could be like in a scare maze queue, for an example, and I start talking to some people. In fact, I think it happened once. I think I mentioned it when I went to Fright Nights once. I was in the Walking Dead queue line, and because you have to. By the way, the Walking Dead the ride, not the Living Nightmare, so I never got to do that, unfortunately. But yeah, I was in the Walking Dead the ride queue line, and because you have to be paired up if you're a single rider, I was paired up with this woman who was like in a group of 3, and we were talking a lot throughout the queue line, having a really good time, really good interaction stuff. It was probably only like 15 minutes that we were together though, and yet I got extremely attached within that 15 minutes. And it's just, it's a very, very unhealthy kind of mindset to have. Also kind of like the mindset of me kind of wanting to be friends with everyone. Yeah, it's not a healthy mindset or a realistic expectation whatsoever. And yeah, I feel that's one thing I really need to work through, because it is kind of fucking me over a lot of the time. And then the other thing I've been kind of having recently is like kind of like a lack of trust, massive like trust issues with people, and not being able to trust that people, like, you know, like when I've been kind of reaching out to people, for an example, not being able to trust that people actually want to talk to me or actually want to interact with me, or, you know, actually are friends with me. Like, I have so many trust issues, which is partially like self-deprecation and stuff, but also just partially from past experience of just, you know, losing trust with people and, you know, being, you know, betrayed by people, which then has kind of had a knock-on effect onto current relationships that I have. So yeah, that's been quite an issue, and so that makes, you know, trying to reach out with people so difficult, because, you know, it makes me feel so guilty about reaching out to people, you know, which yeah, makes it quite tough. Makes it quite tough to try and make myself feel better when I feel really bad about reaching out to people, which is why it's been so nice with some of the people I have reached out to, reassuring me, like, you know, even if I barely ever spoken to them before, they're like, hey, it's all right, I'm fine to speak to you, it's, you know, it's a good thing that you reached out to me. And it's like, yeah, it's really nice to get that understanding, but doesn't stop me from feeling shit. You know, it doesn't stop me from having trust issues and stuff. Yeah, that's, again, stuff that I need to work through in therapy, which, as it hopefully will come a bit sooner rather than later. The problem is, it's that I'm going to have to wait till, I think it's like 6th of August for the call with IAPS. Then they're going to have to actually make a judgment, which may take like a week or so, where they make kind of like a judgment on what they think I need. Like, they kind of get like a second opinion. I think it's like with like a board of therapists or something like that. They basically review my case and then get a second opinion. So then that might take like another couple of weeks. That could be kind of into mid-August. And then after that, like one therapy, like I believe my first CBT took like 3 months to get. So that's long enough. But then my step 3, my second CBT, that took 5 months to get to. So it's like, yeah, going with waiting lists at the moment, God no. I mean, I've heard of people on mental health waiting lists that have been on it for like 2 years, like, so it could be any amount of time. I've heard though that mental health stuff is a little bit shorter than like normal like waiting lists for like other complaints. So I guess that is a positive. But yeah, I'm just hoping to God I can get something soon. Hoping to God I can stick on with the CBT. Hopefully I can keep that going. Yeah, it's rough, because it's kind of like, you know, you're trying to put in all this effort, but then you keep kind of getting knocked down constantly by this invisible illness that no one else can see, and whenever, you know, you do try and show it, you mask it constantly, which means people can't see it, and even if they do see it, then there's not really much they can do about it, or it makes them feel uncomfortable, and then you feel bad about it, and it's just, yeah, it's rough. It's really rough to go through, which is why I do things like this, to try and keep me busy, and yeah, just try and air and vent all this out, because I don't have therapy right now. Help me. Speaking of stuff going on inside my mind, this is a good segue. I went to go and see Inside Out 2 in the cinema. Not necessarily stuff going on inside my mind, but, you know, kind of mental health adjacent stuff. And I actually watched the first film again before watching the second film in cinemas, and I noticed that with the second film I enjoyed it a lot more. I feel like it went into a lot more depth. I think the portrayal of anxiety in it was really good, and kind of how that can affect someone, and how it can affect like the social situations that you're in. Obviously very much in kind of like a storyline about puberty and stuff like that, but I think it still did it really well. And at the end, the main character Riley, she kind of has like an anxiety attack. I don't know if it was an anxiety or a panic attack. I mean, obviously it was caused by the emotion anxiety, but it's kind of like the difference between anxiety attack, panic attack. I always forget what the difference is, but I'll say that she had an anxiety attack. Yeah, I think that was portrayed really well. And yeah, some like really good emotional moments as well, and like a really good message at the end of it as well, about like, you know, what you can and can't control, which is something that I probably need to take into account a little bit more. Yeah, it's sometimes a little bit difficult to actually put into place the things that I preach in a way. That's another thing that I've noticed recently as well, is that there's been some people who've been struggling with stuff, and so I've been trying to like be supportive with them as much as possible, you know, try and, you know, boost them up, you know, make them feel better. And I feel like in my last therapy, it was kind of like one of the strategies was like, whatever I'd say to someone else, try saying it to myself. But the problem is there's kind of like a hypocriticism there, where it's like I feel like the reason why I try and be so nice to other people, which I feel I do. I feel I try to be as nice as I can to other people. But why I try and like build people up in this way is because I struggle to do it myself. Like I struggle to be kind to myself. I struggle to be, you know, I struggle to build myself up and be my own hype man in a way. And so I try to be that for other people in a way, because I just find it easier. You know, I just find it much easier to do. And yeah, I don't fully know why that is. Maybe it's because I mean, it's probably a lot of like self-deprecation, self-hatred, but also, I don't know, I just feel like it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like a bias I have against myself, or that I would have a bias towards myself if I did that in a way. So like, you know, I could tell myself that I'm the best person in the world, but like, in a way that would be me being biased towards myself, because of course I'd say that to myself. Like, in a way, it kind of, to me, what matters more is what other people think, because their opinions are more valid. They can actually see me from the outside, you know, they don't have like a personal stake in their views on me, you know. So yeah, it's yeah, that's another thing I have to deal with. But yeah, also with Inside Out 2, yeah, quite funny as well, a lot of good humor. I think actually some better humor than the first one as well. Yeah, definitely recommend going to see it. Yeah, it's definitely a big improvement on the first one, which is saying a lot as well, because the first one did really well. But yeah, it was nice to watch the sequel. I just forgot as well, I forgot to set a timer. God damn it, I think I started at like, God knows when, who knows. I mean, to be honest, this video is just going to be as long as it needs to be, because yeah, I just want to try and get through all my topics and stuff. But yeah, the next thing is the Joker 2 trailer came out, a new Joker 2 trailer. And I think I gave my thoughts on the first one. I think it was actually Chloe who put a question on the NGL link for it, which was or like on the Instagram story, I think she replied on it. But yeah, there was a new Joker 2 trailer that came out. Definitely enjoyed it more than the first one as well. Not to say that the first one was bad or anything, but I feel like this one gave us a bit more, which is really good. And there's one bit in it which I love, which is where the kind of like, you have Joker and Harley kind of in their performance mode in a way on the stage. And I think Joker says something like,
I got the sneaking suspicion that we're not giving the people what they want.
It's okay, baby. Let's give the people what they want.
The performance in that, and kind of like the whole idea of him getting like faux angry and then her just like calming him down. I love that dynamic. It just seems so cool. And yeah, I can't wait for that. And yeah, just kind of like the performance between the both of them, and also that there's going to be a bit of a romance. Definitely not making me jealous whatsoever, but yeah, just kind of having that you know, that little kind of twisted romance in a way where it's kind of like not healthy for either of them. That's quite interesting, cool to have as well. I do hope like the mental illness side comes into it as well. Definitely the pathological laughter really could relate to, because I do have that. I have, not to the extent that Arthur Fleck has it, but I do have pathological laughter where it almost feels like you're gonna cry, and then it comes out as like a little burst of laughter. And yeah, it kind of makes you feel weird. It like makes you feel like you're kind of a freak in a way, and that, you know, why am I doing this? You know, yeah, it makes me feel awful a lot of the time. But yeah, it's yeah, that's definitely something I can relate to quite a bit. Hashtag relatable, big mood. Then another thing at the cinema, there's a lot of things at the cinema this video, is I went to go and see Deadpool and Wolverine on Friday, I think Friday, and today's Monday, yeah. So last Friday I went to go see Deadpool and Wolverine, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, it was a really good film. I hadn't rewatched any of the Deadpool films beforehand, and I hadn't really watched many X-Men films. Went to go and watch X-Men Apocalypse in cinema, but that's about it really. I haven't really seen any other ones, so I was going to it semi-blind, but even then, like having kind of like a base knowledge of all the X-Men stuff, and like for example knowing that Wolverine dies at the end of Logan, like I knew that, and so yeah, so going into it with that, yeah, it's I can still follow it really well, and some like the references to some of the characters that they bring in and stuff, yeah, that was really good. And yeah, really worked for me as well. And just like it starts off with such like a gobsmacking opening, like it kind of goes like really like dark humor in a way, but also I love like some of the action or a lot of the action sequences in the film. I love action sequences where it kind of does a juxtaposition where it's showing you this like really gory and dark imagery, and yet it's shown with this backing track of like a really kind of upbeat or happy song. So I think like the opening ones with In Sync, and yeah, it's just basically Deadpool dancing while he's doing this fighting, and it's so funny. But yeah, it really works really well, and it looks really cool. There's another one in the middle where he's fighting with Wolverine, and they're fighting to You're the One That I Want from Grease, and it's just perfect. It's really good with that. So yeah, I think the action sequences were some of the best parts. It wasn't like laugh out loud all the way through, but I think it was more kind of chuckles through a lot of it, with some laugh out loud moments as well. But yeah, I think it was also just like a really good integration of the MCU in parts, but also I think it was more kind of a celebration of the Fox universe. So there were bits of the MCU here and there, but it's more showing the Fox universe and stuff, which yeah, I think is really nice and really fitting as well. And over the credits they have like a nice kind of tribute to the Fox stuff as well, which is lovely. And yeah, so just some really good action, pretty good humor, and really good fan wank as well. That's where I was going to bring fan wank back up, because yeah, there's a load of it, but he's done well. Like the difference between like the Schalke Doctor that I mentioned with the fan wank on that's fan wank not really done well, because that's just like, ooh, showing his face and you recognize him, and not actually having any substance to the reason why that's there. While with Deadpool and Wolverine, there's kind of reasons for it all to be there, and it all feels quite organic, and it's not too over the top in a way. Like it doesn't go too far with it, it's not too much all at once. So yeah, so I really enjoyed it, and yeah, it was nice to get back to go and see a Marvel film again. Right, so I've just checked how long I've done, about 1 hour and 13, so that's not too bad. I could probably do a bit longer, to be honest. But yeah, the next thing and the final thing on my list is to do with the events that I'll be going to soon. So I've got the Drayton Manor one, which Drayton Manor, it's because it was funny, because with the Gulliver's event, originally the Drayton Manor event was actually going to be the day after that, but then they moved it to August 4th. So it was actually going to be a weekend of like, I feel like the first theme park that I ever went to, and then a theme park that I haven't been to in years, which is Drayton Manor as well. So yes, that'll be interesting to go back to. And I've been seeing a lot of the stuff with Gold Rush, which is so funny, because I wasn't following it at all. Like I wasn't following any of the construction with it. I just knew that there was this new family coaster coming in, but I didn't know anything about it. But just from seeing the press event, I think I'm actually going to fall in love with it. Like the fact that, for starters, the theming, the immersion that it looks like it has, even though it's like kind of like a kid-friendly storyline and theming, it's still really themed. Like it's way more themed than Hyperia is. There's one photograph that was taken in like a bit of like the indoor queue line bit, and it just shows this kind of almost like a mine shaft, and it gives giving me heavy Altonville vibes that I love. I can't wait like to hear the soundtrack and stuff and see if that's quite similar to Altonville. But yeah, but also the fact that like the ride, apparently there's like multiple different like tracks that you can go on to, and so like you can have a different experience each time. That's so cool. Like I think it's like there's 2 kind of different tracks that you can go on to, so yes, so that's just really cool. And there's bits where it's backwards. I think there might be some good bits of airtime as well, which would be good. Yeah, I really can't wait for it, and luckily we're going to get an ART on it on the attraction source events, which will be fun. I think the main thing I'm worrying about is just, again, similar to what's happened at previous events, similar to what's happened at previous things that I've tried to do, is whether the depression's going to get in the way again, and whether I'm actually going to be able to socialise with people. Yeah, I mean, luckily I know that Elise and Sam from Theme Park Insanity are going, so hopefully maybe I can hang out with them. That would be nice, because yeah, I actually know them, and they're really nice. So yes, so maybe could do that. And also they have like a page called Drayton Talk as well, where they kind of go over Drayton Manor news. So yeah, I feel like they go quite often, so they'd actually be quite good guides for me, to be honest, because yeah, I haven't been in years, as I say. And yeah, who knows, maybe I could even get them in the vlog and stuff. That'd be nice. So there's that event as well. It'll be nice to also like get back on things like the Haunting and stuff, and what other rides are there at Drayton? There's like the whole Viking area, which I haven't, I've never been into, so yes, that'll be cool to try out. I wonder if they still have that. There was like kind of like a Western shooter thing, similar to like kind of like Duel in a way. It's kind of like a laser gun thing. That'd be cool to see if that's still there and possibly go on that. But yeah, it'll just be nice just to be at that park again. As I say, I just hope to God the depression doesn't come back. And I think they've got like a buffet as well, so that'll be cool. But yeah, I'm just gonna have to go. I want to kind of get there like pretty early as well, because I think the event starts like 8:45, so I might try and get there like half an hour early just to make sure I know where I'm going, because yeah, I haven't been to the park in ages, so yeah, I kind of need to know where I'm going when I get there. Then the other event that I'll be going to is the Towers Time Summer Festival. Yeah, I managed to get tickets to both of them, which definitely wasn't stressful whatsoever, because it's never stressful trying to get tickets for those events. Yeah, I just kind of wish that they would give a bit of kind of like more advance notice than day of, or like with Drayton tickets, it was like, wasn't it like when the football had finished or something like that, and like they announced day of, or they announced the day before, and it's just like, maybe give us a week's advance notice. That means we can actually get some money together and like, you know, have a bit of time to prepare, like, because, you know, they clearly have like the event details probably like polished up like a week in advance, so I feel like they could do that and just like let us know a week in advance, let us know what the price is going to be, and then put them on sale, and then you can like remind us multiple times in the week on like social media and stuff. Like that would be really helpful. That would be nice. But yeah, that's going to be a it should be a good event. We've got Bianca Sammet on the Q&A, so that'll be great. She's always really good when I've seen her in interviews, and at Scare Mason last year when we watched her in the Q&A, she was really good in that. Again, like really nice, but also can be quite brutally honest about stuff as well. So yeah, it'll be really nice to listen to her on that. There's someone else as well who I do not remember the name of or their role, but there's someone else who's kind of like in some form of management or role at the resort. I can't remember, but yeah, it'll be cool to have a talk with them as well. Then there's an ERT on Wicker Man, which that actually reminds me of another conversation starter, which is that Wicker Man somehow set on fire, which was literally, I came out of Deadpool and Wolverine and suddenly I saw people posting on Twitter about that Wicker Man's on fire, and I was like, what? What's going on? But no, apparently it was they think because the wood is fire resistant and it's treated to be fire resistant, which I believe. Like I don't think that's something that's unbelievable. I don't really see why they wouldn't do that. They think that it's something that possibly fell off a guest, maybe fell onto the track and then that caught fire. I heard some people saying it's probably like a vape or something like that, or maybe it's just because it was something that was left out in the sun for so long, then that caught fire. So it wasn't like the track caught fire, it was that something on the track caught fire, and that's what caused all the smoke and stuff. So yeah, so luckily no one was hurt, no one was injured, and I don't think there was too much damage, but it's closed at the moment to try and get some repairs done. Hopefully it'll be open before August 17th, otherwise we're not getting an ERT. But yeah, so yeah, it was funny because it's like, you know, luckily no one was hurt or anything, but it's like the irony that a coaster that combines wood and fire caught fire. Like it's funny. So yeah, hopefully it'll be open on time, fingers crossed. So we've got that ERT, and then there's the Q&A later in the day. And there is the party at the end, which is definitely the part that I enjoy the most. That was sarcasm. It's weird. I'm not much of a dancer in a way, or much of a party person, but I kind of want to be. Like, I wish I was. I wish that was my personality. I wish I was someone who, you know, goes out clubbing all the time and stuff, but it's just really not who I am. I wish I was more fun, but I'm not, unfortunately. I'm a really boring person. So yeah, so it's always kind of like awkward, like going to like the party at the end of the day. I find it so funny as well that everyone gets like a change of clothes, and it's like, really? Do you need to? Like, you know, it's not that big of a deal, is it? But yeah, I've seen like everyone saying on Twitter like, oh, what's everyone's outfit going to be? And it's like I did an outfit for like Twisted Vengeance because it was like, they kind of had like a competition element to it, and the fact that it was, I could do more of like a scary character with it. I don't really have an outfit for the summer event. It's just going to be some, I think I might take like the Nemesis Reborn t-shirt again and stuff, but yeah, it's just going to be what I normally wear, because it's like, it's just a normal event for me. Like, it's nothing really that special, to be honest. So yeah, I probably won't really be wearing anything too fancy, to be honest. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just kind of hoping that the party won't be too anxiety inducing, and, you know, I can actually possibly enjoy myself a little bit, or find someone to talk to and just chill. for the evening. That'd be nice. But yeah, that's kind of all my topics on my list. Just still feeling depressed, but trying to troop on. I felt like I needed to get a video like this done just to not only finally get Minecraft back on the agenda, but also to just actually talk about some stuff and almost have like a mini therapy session. That's nice. But yeah, I'm feeling incredibly tired now and it's nearly lunchtime, so I might just try and get through this dirt and stuff and then head off and yeah, just try and get this all filled in as much as I can. There we go. Trying to think of anything else. There's obviously the Fright Nights news that I said in the Scarefest speculation video. Yeah, that's interesting. That pretty much all the mazes from last year are coming back. But I mean, to be fair with Fright Nights, they always usually do have something new on the lineup, which is good. But yeah, it would be nice if they could take off survival games. I think Trailers doesn't really have long left either, so yeah, it'd be good if they could give that all a bit of a refresh next year. And now we're just kind of like awaiting the Scarefest announcements, whatever they're going to be, whenever they're going to be announced. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. It's also, again, it's just so funny, like seeing people still sometimes saying that the new construction at the Darkest Depths site isn't going to be done on time, or they don't have the budget. And yet they're still working on it. Like, I literally saw a post yesterday that showed that they put in like the concrete floor for it and stuff. So I think it's going to be done. I don't see why they would still be working on it now if it's not going to be done on time. So yeah, hopefully we will see that on the lineup and then have basically 3 new attractions, which is really ambitious and really exciting. So yeah, so I can't wait for that. An update on my Scare Season costume as well. Production has sort of started for that. I went for a measuring kind of, not really like a fitting, like a measuring yesterday for the costume, which is really exciting. But I kind of posted on Twitter yesterday that like it's something that was meant to be like happy and excited about. Yeah, I was just feeling so shit yesterday. Like I was just feeling really bad, and so yeah, kind of had like another rough weekend, and so yeah, it's just kind of like, you know, like it's kind of ruining the things that I want to enjoy. It's like for example as well, like with my schedule, that, you know, going out and doing things that I enjoy, it takes me off schedule, and so it's like I want to be able to enjoy things, but I'm not able to, because either it knocks me off schedule, which just knocks me generally off balance, or it's that I can't enjoy these things because I'm having to mask, or that something's triggering me or whatever. And it just, yeah, it makes trying to enjoy things really difficult. Like a lot of, you know, the events that I go to, like a lot of the Towers Times attraction source ones, like the Love to Explore one that I went to. And, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be with like a lot of other people there. You know, I think when I'm on my own, it's just more the fact that there's less of a pressure to mask in a way. But even then, I'm having to mask somewhat, you know, in public. But at least I'm not like having to, you know, keep up conversations and stuff like that. Oh, that's another thing that I actually completely missed off the list, because I think that was kind of jumping around things. But yeah, when I went to Alton Towers on 3rd of July and saw some Scarefest construction updates and stuff, like the stuff at the dungeons and things, and finally got to see the construction behind Curse at Alton Manor, which was really cool. And went onto the Heritage Tour as well, which, yeah, I know a lot of people have been complaining about the fact that the towers now can't be accessible because you have to do it on the Heritage Tour. I think it's a really good Heritage Tour though, so I think, like, you know, it's the best option, considering that they can't really let people in the towers because of all the vandalism and stuff. And I think even like going through the towers, like I saw some bits where it's like things scraped on the walls and stuff like that, like, and, you know, obviously people getting into the towers without authorized access. What I would say to that is that there have been times where I've been into like the Towers ruins and stuff, or like around the Altonville area, where they've just been left wide open and there's no sign saying not to go in. So I would say that, you know, if you don't want people going in, make sure to have those barriers and stuff up, because otherwise, you know, like, people are going to go in and, you know, they can kind of play dumb, and, you know, because to be fair, that's kind of what I'd do with Altonville. I'd just play dumb and say, oh, you know, I don't know what this is Scare Maze. But no, yeah, I don't want to get kicked off park or get permabanned. So I think I'll say permabanned like it's in like a video game or something. But yeah, there's so many times where I've been like around to the Altonville area, and yeah, back door's been wide open, you know, kind of the front gate to get round to the mine entrance has been open. I even technically once took a bit of reference footage of the mine entrance. Shush. I didn't include it in a video or anything. It's for VTO and stuff, just for them to get some reference and stuff. But yeah, like, you know, those areas have been like wide open at times. Speaking of VTO as well, a new update's come out for that, which I was considering doing as like the next video for this, but I thought with this one it would be a lot easier just to talk about all the stuff that I wanted to talk about, while with VTO I'd want to focus on it a little bit more. Like with Minecraft, I can just kind of like do stuff in the background, even though it's been a bit hard to focus with trying to like breathe underwater as well. But yeah, I've managed to get through all my topics on my list. I've probably missed something. I'm probably going to go into the edit and then there's going to be something, oh, why didn't I talk about that? But yeah, I've talked about mainly most of the stuff. It's just mainly just wanting to, like, you know, just talk through all the shit that I'm feeling at the moment. And yeah, just, I'm not doing great in general. Like, again, there's points where I am, but most of the time I'm just trying to, like, struggle through and try and survive day to day, really. Yeah, I might, like, message someone after this. I don't know, try and make myself feel a bit better. But yeah, so I think, yeah, that's everything used up, isn't it? Now it's just a bit of this, what's it called? Like coral, oh, glowlation. So let's go and put this in the chest. God, it is getting warm now as well. And it's about lunchtime as well, so I'm going to have a bit of lunch and then get this proxy media going to get the video edited. I also realised as well that I'll be going to Towers tomorrow to go and meet up with someone. I'll be meeting up with Emily, Access All Areas. She does, I think Access All Areas is a YouTube channel. She does like accessibility videos and stuff. Really great channel. Definitely go and check her out. But yeah, I'll be meeting up with her tomorrow because I've been talking with her a lot, which has been really nice. But I forgot to put that on my schedule, and so I was like, oh my god, this like completely ruins my schedule and everything. And again, it's this kind of thing, like wanting to do these things that I really enjoy, but it messes up my schedule in a way. But I've managed to figure it out. So yes, the edit on this I can do like on Wednesday, unless if I can get it. I don't think I'll get it all done tonight because these videos are usually a lot longer. But yeah, hopefully I can get the edit done and hopefully uploaded before I go to Drayton Manor on Sunday. That would be nice. But yeah, that's all for my Minecraft video today. I feel like I got hopefully a good amount done. I don't know. I'm gonna have to like dig up a load more dirt next episode, aren't I? I don't really know what I'm gonna call this video either. I don't know. Filling in the hole, wink wink. I don't know. But yeah, hopefully things will get a little bit better. Yeah, next video probably the Drayton Manor Manor Madness event, which I can hopefully have a good time at. After that, I would like to try and get back into some Walton Files and stuff because I really do enjoy doing that series. Also do some VTO, I imagine, and then the Towers Time summer event, and probably some Scarefest stuff that's going to be announced too, I imagine, at some point. I imagine in August at this point it'll be announced. So yeah, so until the Drayton Manor Attraction Source Manor Madness event, I will see you next time. Bye.